I'm skinning up.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to TFC Open Mic episode 37. It's the VXP weekend and more. Good evening, everybody on the panel. We've got quite a few in this evening. Hi, guys.
Evening.
What's up?
Yay.
Hello.
Hello, Stu, mate. Right,
Hello.
so what are we going to cover tonight then? So let's have a quick look. I jotted a few things down. So clearly it's the VXP weekend, so we'll cover some aspects on that. There's a few interesting things to talk about there. From that, then we'll move on. We'll talk about some cycles, okay? And so how many cycles we've got between now and the next raid. Yes, the next raid already. We'll talk about that, okay? Either after or before or sometime during, we'll talk about the build and fix times of some of the holes, especially once you start to rank the darn things. And then we'll also look at the new targets, okay? So post the next raid, okay? So the new targets coming. We'll talk about those as well. And then I've got basically a discussion about PvP, the PvE holes and targets, and then I've got a question about the survey. So that's it. So is that enough? Anybody else got anything you want to add to that? Is that fun?
No, Stu was talking about crack cocaine. I mean,
we'll move on past that one then.
That's lies and slander. I never said nothing.
So okay then, so let's talk about VXP first then. So from what I noticed, obviously it kicked off on time, which is quite decent, okay? However, I noticed personally, I'm in Delta at the moment, there were some issues already posted from a couple of joining sectors that basically the spawn of the targets coming out, particularly the 80s, if you had a busy a busy sector with lots of people around obviously the dubs, then they weren't actually spawning some of the targets on the times that they should have been, on the half hours. Did anybody else notice that?
yes.
Yeah, I can confirm. My sector has been in yellow or orange for most of the weekend, which it usually isn't, but it is now. And there are too many things between the Drak armadas and the Draconian mining bases and the Reaver armadas, whatever the other things are, the non-VXP Reaver armadas, that the 80s aren't spawning. The 61s and 43s, I guess, are still left there because nobody wants them. But the 80s, the 99s, and the 114s that should be spawning around dubs just aren't. You got to go to other sectors for those.
Yeah, slightly frustrating, isn't it? Yeah, it's odd. You got to go find a dead sector, haven't you? That's what I've noticed, and I'm having to do the same thing. 80s because they spawn a little bit off the central belt, but definitely the 99s, the 114s. You need to go and find a dead sector because if you have got yourself, this is what I've noticed anyway. If you have got yourself into sector orange, particularly, and obviously your 91's just turning up, and you go and getting your parts for your mega ships, then you're getting even more of an issue. It's bad enough in yellow, but it's even worse in orange. So I'm struggling where I am as well.
And I've also seen in a lot of places that the targets are spawning under something where you've got to kill what's on top of it before you can get to the target.
Yeah, I think that's right. The 75s, the uranium 75s as well. They're spawning either on top or they're double tapping again with obviously some of the foundry targets as well. So the 80s are spawning underneath those for some bizarre reason.
Even in the dead sectors, I'm finding that the 80s are not spawning near as much as the 114s and the 99s too. I mean, I'm finding plenty of those in the dead sectors, but the 80s are damn near impossible to find.
Does that have anything to do with the rotation of every half hour or hour that they were going to do the rotation on them, or no?
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because the rotation should be. It's 27 minutes, isn't it, for each one? And then they have 3 minutes. They pop up at 20. For example, the first ones pop up obviously, and then they die at 27 minutes past. It's clear for 3 minutes, and then they come in again at the 29th minute and a few seconds, like sort of stuff, and then it goes again for another half hour cycle. But that's the rotation of the 99s and the 114s. It's not necessarily the rotation of the 80s, because obviously it clears all the cycle. And all the those targets pop, including the smaller ones as well. They'll pop and disappear periodically. I think it's like every 20 minutes or so. But it could just be that everyone's obviously looking for the 80s, and ripping them apart, because we all know that you can. Well, we'll talk about targeting in a minute and how we do it, but you can do a lot more with an 80 than you can with some of the other ones.
Yes. Yeah, especially if they have them set up. Yes.
Yeah.
I had an awful time this weekend just trying to find targets. But when I did find a target, so much clutter on the map that I didn't know what was what. And the browser I'm playing on at the moment is something called Facebook Arcade Beta or something like that. And it has a navy blue background, and the writing that Kix puts up is in black, so you actually have to highlight the writing to read it.
Oh, really?
It was actually awful for me this whole weekend. Every time I forgot which target I was after, and I had to highlight the writing up the top, and then look for the target, and then end up hitting something else.
Damn.
Not
That
good.
sounds annoying. That sounds proper annoying. Anybody else got any views?
I stayed there. I mean, I was in a dead sector for the raid, and I stayed there for VXP, so I have not been a problem really.
Yeah, I think dead sector's away. Yeah.
Metal?
Pardon?
Are the 80s spawning for you in that sector as well, or is it mostly
I haven't even been looking out for the 80s. I've only hit 99s and 114s.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, the spawn issue I've noticed, and I've noticed it in comms and that sort of stuff. So I've actually decided that basically to VXP the stuff that I need to do this weekend, I've kept out of my own sector. It's just too busy. We've got a couple of big alliances where I am at the moment. It was like when I used to be in 400 a few weeks back. It was just so busy that people were fighting over the same targets, and it just got crazy. There were so many bases, and then so many, obviously, FM targets out as well. It just made a right mess of the thing. So I jumped ship with my alliance. We've moved further down to Delta World now, and it's almost come in the same situation again. So we've sort of spread ourselves out over 10 sectors for getting VXP, and it's helped a little bit. Preferences then. What do you think, guys? You preferencing then the 80s, the 99s, or the 114s, or is it dependent on obviously what you want to go and rank? What's your thoughts?
80s. I'm all about the 80s, man. I can do more in the 80s than anything else.
The not 99s.
Yeah, 80s are much better because probably you're going to be able to kill the ships on that one and not get that much damage. So you will end with less damage, so less repairs, and more points because you will be able to kill the ships. They said that the 99 was the one supposed for the Valiant, but the Valiant is not ready to sustain that explosive torque.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing is. That underwater nuke that kills 102,000 health in one shot. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I want some of them on my ship. They're pretty decent, aren't they? I go a bit doing FVF then as well. For me personally, I think I did change. One of my lads wanted to go and rank up his Hell Race and that sort of stuff. So he actually went in and ripped apart the 99 because obviously you can carve that up. The only issue with that, I did say to him that once you're in, you stay in. And that's the good thing about the 80s, isn't it? You can go in and then obviously, we'll talk about methods in a minute, but you can come back out again because obviously you can let it time out. So even if it's a bit of a CAC one, and that sort of stuff. The 114s are okay. But if you're going to go and hit those, I suggest you put in a gunboat first and just see what's left in it. If you find one lying around, especially if you want to go and put some subs into there, and obviously then if the hulks aren't in there, or sorry, if all those 3 hulks have been taken out already, then you're wasting your time with a set of subs because you may just kill them. Whereas actually you can normally go in there and take out the 3 the Hades, and then you can come back out again. It takes you about if you take your time to go around, it takes about 4 to 6 minutes to do that, which means you haven't got to wait too long. But then putting subs into an 80, there's no point doing that. You're wasting your time altogether because you don't get anywhere close because there's too much thermal, isn't there? Yep. So I suppose it depends on what you're doing. I found personally 80s are best for surface ships without a doubt, unless you've got no time, because then the 99 is the beast to do. Because the sub, everything comes towards you, which has been quite nice, isn't it? I mean, that's been designed for the Valiant, isn't it? Would you agree with that?
You don't need that because you can rank the Valiant on the 80s. Just take it on board with you. So send it on board, pick up the ships, and it's all done.
Yeah, I did better in the 80s with the Valiant than in the 99. I have it sculled. I had it sculled quickly. That was probably my easiest one of the whole weekend to do.
I think it took me about 5. I did a 99 because I was just being lazy. I just wanted to get him done because I'm getting built and put one in my base and that sort of stuff. So I did a Valiant, and I think I did about. I just coined it 5 times. I think in the 99.
Yeah, I think.
In 10, I did 4 times on the 80 to get the skull rank. So you get an idea how better is the 80 from the 90 for the Valiant at least.
I did mine off 4 on the 99.
So about 4 was it? It might just be 4. I can't really remember. I think it's 32k each time you were doing it, something like that. Something along those lines.
But did you full repair that Valiant each time, right?
Yeah, I fixed it out on the sea because I couldn't find an 80. It was right at the start, and I couldn't find any at all. Put the dog down. What's your view? Yeah, I couldn't find an 80, so I just went and got a 99 because I literally chucked a gunboat into the 114s and I went, oh, stop that. You know, if you're going to go and commit suicide, you may as well have something that targets come straight at you. So that's why I chose the 99, and it worked. It was okay, but obviously just for that particular ship. But Citadels, yeah, that sort of stuff. I agree. I think the 88 is quite nice. So has anybody got a defining method for carving up the 80s that they want to discuss? That gains you more VXP? Have you noticed different ways? Because I've
the general way of doing it that I've been doing it is
to do, but my way is to either use a Vanquisher to soak up the damage, or if you don't have a Vanquisher, an Apollo would be a perfect punchback as well. Just let everything hit the Apollo or the Vanquisher, and whatever you have behind it, you can just drag them nicely. Just keep the punchback as close as you can.
Okay, George, you were saying?
Well, I've been putting a tank in the front to take the damage, and the Valiant actually does very good as a tank in the front, and I've been putting my DPS stuff in the back. I've been using the 99s for the blank hulls to suicide in, and from what I've seen from people's responses so far is the 99 and the 80s are the ones that give a better VXP overall percentage to get your VXP up. So for every 10% of damage that you take, you get more VXP out of the 99 and the 80 than you do the 114. But I've been taking advantage of the 80 because you can put a tank right in the front, have DPS ships behind it, and kill a couple of things. It's got a retreat button. You retreat, come back in at a different angle, do it again, kill all that stuff, and then send one boat in to take out the rest of the target.
That was what I was going to say. That the fact that the 80 you can retreat and get back in, so you can kill 2 or 3 ships and don't get to the cap.
Yep.
So you can abuse. That's what makes the 80s better than any other. Because on the others, you once you enter, you have to die or kill all before you can leave. So.
Yeah.
And I've been using the grease monkeys that I didn't have to use in the last raid. I've been using them in this. So works.
Me too. I have as well, I must admit. So what I was going to say about the 80s, basically, on average, most people are getting about 32 to 34k for killing a complete 80 in one shot. But occasionally, another way you can do it, because obviously you can get them, you max out on the maximum amount of VXP you get out of one target. It depends on where you are, and if you're in a busy sector, as soon as you come out of an 80 and someone sees it's not dead, they'll jump in instead. They'll queue basically, which is fine. I don't mind that. But if you're in a position where actually you're by yourself, which is what I do, or I have been doing some, I'd go and trigger just one ship and let that ship come to me, and then I just basically kill that set of 3 or 4, wherever it is, and then I exit the target, and I go back in again, and then I kill the next triggering set, and then go back out again, and then go back in again, and then kill them in 4 stages basically, and then go back in and finish the target off blank when there's no ships left after. And when I was docking, I was getting between 70 and 80,000 VXP.
Yeah.
And so it more than doubles.
Get in mind that you don't need to kill the full group. As long as your ship is about 30 something speed, you are good, because you can just leave them behind and you just wait for the retreat button to trigger and you can leave. You don't need to kill them all if you don't want.
No, the sector I'm in, I noticed a couple of people were running around outside my PN. I'm like, why are you killing them in one hit? And that's like, I need to go and find another one. When you don't need to go and find another one. Break it down into its component parts, and then just keep popping in and popping out, popping in, popping out. I said, and actually, you'll save yourself all that hassle of going to try and find some more 80s, because there's clearly not enough of them around. So long as someone doesn't jump in on your target. And
you maximize your damage to VXP too.
Which is what it's all about.
That's also why a lot of people will say, oh, build a blank with just a Thud 1, and they may do that to get their refit time bonus from a really high R&D, but for ranking, that's not really good. You want a weapon or 2 on them to deal some damage and gain more VXP for dealing the damage.
Yeah, no, agreed. I do. I always tell all my guys that, and well, most people know it anyway. If you're on R&D, if your R&D is up to a good level, I always build a blank hull first, because obviously the reduction in build time is 6%, obviously on a blank build, but obviously for refit it's 8%. So obviously you're going to gain, it's only 2%, but it still helps on any of the builds, that sort of stuff. So I always build it blank first, and then add all the component parts second. So that definitely works for me as well. So Interesting. So, did anybody notice that there's a conflict then, obviously, with sector threat? Did you notice that some of the targets weren't spawning at all? Did anybody get that at all? I've seen that on the forums as well, where basically sector threat goes up and there's just nothing spawning.
At the very beginning, yes. I think they've mitigated it a little bit, but it's still an issue on sectors that are very busy, that are in orange or anything. It spawns not nearly as good as a dead sector. But at the very beginning, it wouldn't spawn at all. So I mean, it's better than before, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm flipping around. I'm on the support. Of all things I daren't do sometimes, I don't really go on the kick size zone sort of like forum support. But I thought for tonight I would. And there's about 4 threads here about obviously targets not spawning basically during the VXP. So, yeah, I mean, simplest answer: move around, which takes on quite nicely, I think. I'm not sure if people are aware, but I'd like to think everybody is. So we all know that obviously the dubs, the Drac uranium bases, there's obviously 6 per sector and that sort of stuff. But if you look at the East Tower and the West Tower, it's literally, ignore the North and South Tower and the Central Towers, they don't help you. But if you look at the East and West Towers, there's a dub literally within half a screen distance.
Yep.
So if you are going up and down the screens, you're just jumping from tower to tower to tower, or just running your mouse across quickly and that sort of stuff. Just jump from East Tower to West Tower, and then go to the next sector: East Tower, West Tower, East Tower, West Tower, and just keep jumping down the sectors. Ignore the other 3, because obviously, if you're running a crew, a salty, it's taking your time as well. So jump down, and generally I found as well, if you're in the same sector and if the East Tower has been eaten off, then probably the West Tower has already been eaten off. So then maybe skip a few and jump down a few more sectors, sort of stuff.
West has 2 of them near it too. I mean, the one that's directly to the southwest, but then if you go northeast, if you pass the first dub and then go straight, the first Drac base and go straight up, the next one that you come to is a dub.
Yeah. So if you're on the
west and 1 on east,
it works. So if you're on your sector's West Tower, the dub is normally sitting at about sort of like between 2 and 3 o'clock, and it's about half a screen across from you. If you're in the East Tower, it's around about the 7 o'clock position, about half a screen to your right. So
you got that backwards.
Oh, is it the other way around? Sorry, mate. Sorry.
It's on the west. The west one has the very first thing southwest. So at about 7 o'clock is the
yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
On the east one, it's about 2-ish.
Yeah.
Is that what you say?
Yeah, about 2 o'clock. Yeah. So you'll notice it as long as your obviously your relay point is dead in the center of your screen, you'll see it on your screen anyway.
Yeah,
you should be able to see it.
On the second one that I'm talking about on the west is if you go 2 o'clock, you'll find the first Drac base, and if you go straight up, the next Drac base that you hit is a dub. So
it's about a screen and a half, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I'd rather just the time you can have a look that way, and it's great. But normally I just jump to the next sector, and I've marked up about 15 sectors now. I just go through and mark them up as it takes about half an hour. That's all it does, And we all know that obviously you can jump on. You can jump on the BP Outpost page as well, pump the sector into there as well, into the sector finder, and it'll pull up all the dubs anyway for you, and just copy and paste them straight into us. And that was a Hefe picked that up yesterday as well.
Yeah. Probably your best tool for when you're ranking.
Is that right there? Yeah.
There's one thing that I'd like to add to the 80s. If you want to get as much VXP as you want out of them, just stick to killing the ships and the torp towers. The other buildings don't worth any VXP. You will get VXP from the turrets, but only based on the damage that you take from them. So just leave them alone.
Yeah. The question in chat that's been asked about corrosive, we will mention that tonight, but we haven't done it just yet, so I'll just let you know about that. And probably people that haven't seen the question, then you're probably thinking, what am I talking about? But we will be covering that as well.
We'll cover that later on.
Yeah, we will. Just write that down somewhere, just to remind myself. So. Okie dokie.
Right. To see if I get an answer actually back from Kix, but I know it's Saturday.
Yeah. So I'll just say, if we do raise the question, we won't give you the decision or an answer on it until we actually have it formalised properly, because I don't speculate on anything. That's just the way I like to roll. So so East and West Towers, that sort of stuff. Methods of ranking, that's great. What is everybody ranking at the moment? The most people sort of ranking are just tides and obviously the vowels. Is anybody else doing anything else?
Ghost
Crawler.
Ghost Crawler, mate. Oh, poor you. So yeah, so there's that's the classic example then of where actually for you then the 114 is your friend, you know, because I did show a video. It isn't easy, I have to say. You've got to time it just right. But if you put in a gunboat sat behind your ghost crawler and then obviously a Hellwraith just in front of that, it's only literally.
I did it a couple of times without the gunboat and all that. I did it just with the ghost crawler itself. I just sat in one of the little pop-up circles.
Oh right, yeah,
or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you must sit inside one of the caverings as well, and then because it pops up and that sort of stuff, and they just keep coming at you, which is great then, you know, and that sort of stuff.
It's nice, yeah, but it kind of, you know, 10 minutes.
It's boring.
Time out. Yeah,
it is boring, and you think to yourself, hang on a minute, this crew's ticking away. But ultimately, I mean, unless you can't use an 80 because the thermals had it. You know, you can go and play in a 99, and you'll probably be able to do okay. To be honest,
you can do it. Well, the 99 I managed to do one with no damage, which was.
But it's a lot of driving around, isn't it? And a lot of you're fretting. It's more like doing a raid, isn't it? You're fretting because oh my god, if I just take one mistake here, that's a 2-day fix.
You can do for free as well. Well, at least you can get the ships out for free. I used 4 gunboats.
Here's the thing: you guys are talking about a ghost crawler. I mean, it's better than the alternative of, you know, doing it with damage and suiciding.
Good lord, yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm not just doing that.
And can I just say, I've just managed to get my Man of War up to 2 stars. That's like taking two full flipping raid weekends because there's no way I'm calling it. I just like die and then just go right. That's a 2-day.
Sparkles in sequence on a lawn dart.
Yeah. 2-day 8-hour fix, and I'm like that. Great.
My bet, TSM, is that you will scrap it before you rank that ship.
I probably will, mate. I can't find a use for it. I can't find anything useful to do with it at the moment.
I got a couple of uses for it.
Yeah, you can borrow it anytime, mate. I just can't.
I don't want it. You can keep it, but I got a couple of uses.
Anyway,
your goal is to try to break the land speed record, like Apollos or like overloaded Hellwraiths or whatever.
Exactly.
And see how fast you can go.
This guy thinks like me.
I just can't think of anything to use it for, you know. And I only built it because I had nothing else to build at the time, and I'm thank God I didn't waste time just building it, you know. So I was fortunate I built my Hellwraith right at the very, very start, and then obviously got into the raid cycle, and I didn't need to build anything. So I got the Man of War shards for it, and then I just went right, okay, I'll build the darn thing. And I'm only messing about a bit with equipment on it, but I can't think of anything to use it for. I really can't. Paul's got one as well, haven't you, mate?
Mine's 45%.
Yours at 45%. I can't.
Yeah, there isn't any use for it, and I've got a full build as well, also. And
the funniest use I've seen was speeding up Furies for a base hit.
For a base hit, yeah, I did see somebody do a video on that where actually they used it. So obviously the oil slicks, and they slammed straight through, didn't they?
Yeah,
they jumped to the back of somebody's base. I can't remember who it was. Was it somebody on here? In fact, said about it.
I said Yanis from KDE was using a Man of War with a couple
you, mate.
of
Yeah,
Furies.
Yanis, I've seen him run through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Like, that's a pretty good use for it. I mean, you could just throw it on the outside and run.
Because you go on the outside, yeah, you wouldn't get too much damage. Well, you shouldn't get any damage, should you? With luck, anyway.
Because we can get by subs, and then that'll be.
Yeah, because that's a sneaky trick at the moment. Sticking a ghost crawler, sticking a Hellwraith in your base now, isn't it? And then obviously, or a ghost crawler, eh? What the hell?
I'm really glad for the Valiant because I can take my Hellwraith out of my base.
Oh, I like it. It's a good hull.
It annoys me having that Hellwraith in there.
Yeah, me too. So VXP weekend in general, people are managing. I think personally, ranking tides is annoying. I think they're taking ages. I think Citadels as ever take a little while as well.
I was having a bit of luck with my sits actually, but
go on, mate.
Yeah, I was tanking them out with a Retribution in front, and the Ret took the damage. But
yeah, I like Retributions.
Citadels, they paddle too slow for this game now.
Yeah, they're
FM
only, aren't they?
They are painful.
It is.
Yeah. Without sounding horrible, but they are painful to maneuver around.
But I said that a bit earlier on about a few weeks back when you started using obviously Apollos and you have to go back to use your Rhinos, like that. Have these things actually got any engines on them?
Yeah,
you know.
But my Rhinos run at 37. I mean, Citadels are
27 probably.
A little bit slower than that, but you know where I'm coming from. It's like you go from boom, bang,
Yeah, it's painful, isn't it?
It's not a pain. It's just annoying.
It is. Right, come on. Let's move on then. We'll go subject 2 then. So I think what we'll move on is the announcement. Obviously, I can see it's on the forum page here then. So the new target formats post the next raid, okay? So as it says there, basically we're going to move to skirmish targets, okay? It'll be Reaver Armadas. What's nice, they're going to have a dual role capability. So not only will you get uranium from it, you'll also get fragments. I think that's an absolute bonus.
Where does Tellurium to?
That's really good because that way you don't have to waste your damn time building 2 different things.
Routine, sure.
Chats and
Yeah.
When the Foundry was started, they said that you got Foundry parts from doing things you normally do, and that was full of crap.
Yeah.
And now it's actually becoming true.
And exactly, Brian. That's exactly that. So, and the other thing I noticed as well, they keep going on about, it should extend your shelf life of your fleets and that sort of stuff. Well, this will be the first cycle that it actually does that. Well, I suppose all Apollos did, but then again, not everybody built the Apollos, whereas everyone, 99% of people, I'd imagine, either got Tide Seekers or they've got some subs. So you should be able to at least attack something once they've retuned them. We'll see what can attack what, but obviously we'd like to think the top level can be hit by Hellrace. Otherwise, we ain't got nothing else better, really, to be honest. And the overlap is a month, so the old target's going to hang around. The Apollo target should hang around for the month if you're not quite ready. Right. Although if you're not quite ready, it's because you've not been doing the raids at all, I can imagine, this month.
And I'm hoping with this release that that they're moving toward a trend to take what we've been griping about, some of this clutter off the map, and put the fragments that you need into targets that we do hit. Because I mean, right now it's just overwhelming.
Yeah, I think that's the case. Yeah,
I'm hoping that they actually, are leaning towards reducing, one, how many different things we have to do our chores, and two, it seems that they've learned a little bit from the first couple of raids in this set that people don't like driving their subs. So I'm kind of hoping that the detuned versions are stuff that, because they know that we like to auto, like we have to do the 91s, we auto those with Apollos. We don't bother driving that shit. I want them to do these targets where I can take the Tide Seekers and auto it. I mean, I'll take some damage, it's great, but I still want to be able to auto my uranium. That would be awesome.
And not have to spend, half a day repairing that fleet after you auto them as well.
Yeah, particularly since, at this point we know that the drops are not like they were several months ago. I mean, you're still getting stuff, it's just not as easily. So the uranium is going to be needed, and hopefully, if you built extra Tide Seekers and you're kicking yourself in the butt for it, you might not be kicking yourself in the butt for it come, December, January when the targets change, and maybe the Tide Seekers will actually shine in those. We don't know yet. We have no idea.
Let's hope they do, and let's hope that obviously that TLC comes back this month, maybe next weekend or the weekend after. I'd like to see the Mega Hull one come back as well, but we have gained, we'll talk about that, but we have gained a week because we've got a 5-week month as well. So, and then the raid obviously doesn't commence until the 15th. So actually we've got a bit of a breather, thank God. I think we've been needing it. It's been chock-a-block for the last 2 months. So.
Well, we got a breather. We got a breather, and we're also getting. I'm going to mention it now early, but we're getting 29 days of tokens at the minimum, unless you're Mark, and
I get my few more, mate.
Lucky, you get you 3 of them instead of your 1. But I mean, we have a lot of damn tokens. If you're caught up on the FM, there's a lot of tokens to be had. I mean, you can't. Everyone's like, we need extra this and extra that to build all this extra stuff that we need, and we really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you are not cut up, you have 35 days of normal building time, so you have plenty of time to build something.
Even if you're caught up on only on tier 4, we're getting what we say it was 14 days.
Yeah, 14 days.
I mean, that's 2 weeks. 2 weeks of tokens.
Okay, and that's great. Do you know what? That's going to make life so much easier for people. Those, particularly if you've been like really scared off to building those Phantom whatevers or the Harlock XYZs, you're going to have a case now where, do you know what, you think to yourself, I can either raid or I can't raid. So I've got a chance of doing something else now. We all know that obviously the new targets are going to be coming after the next raid, which will be the same fleet. So you haven't really got to do a great deal too much for that. And then obviously we're looking in, as we know, into some different sort of targets that might come up obviously next year for the FM cycle. But that's nothing in the spring or it shouldn't be in the spring. And just confirm on that, basically, if you go onto the Kicksci forum and you pull up in the, obviously, the, if you pick up on the feedback page that basically covers the general discussions, and it says world map targets changing in December. If you click on the first, where it says here, third one in, basically this is Doom's post. It takes you right back to the post that Rykin did back in June 2015, and that covers the changes and all about the skirmisher, assault, siege, garrison, conqueror, defender stuff there. But around the bottom, it also tells you about the cycle of the FM targets and the frequency and that sort of stuff. Not the frequency of adjusting the targets within the period of that raid targets. We all know we've gone from 107s to 109s, 102s, and that sort of stuff. But the actual switch in the yearly periods of when that target format will go away, it's actually in that post. So that link, it dropped quite considerably down in the forums, but now it's come right to the forefront again. So it's actually worth having a look at and rereading. It's quite a long post, but it is really in depth. It's a typical GD Ryking post. It's several pages of paper, if you were to print it. But it does give it clarity on basically. It says about May 18 will be replacing the. It tells you exactly timelines in the future about when they're going to do stuff. So
yeah,
so
and I mean the thing is too is there's a lot of information that we get and we share and stuff, and some that we don't because things change and. It's very difficult sometimes because I want to believe that I can go, hey, you know what? The plan is right now that it's going to be siege from January through April, and then it's going to be garrison from May to July, whatever it is. And
this is raid. This is raid, not FM raid.
Yeah, the raids. But then they base stuff like the Drac mines and the dubs on the siege raid. You know what I mean? And they base the FM on the garrison raid. And right now they have a plan penciled in, but that does not mean it's not going to change. It can change. That's the plan. They'd like to stay to the plan, and that's what we're presuming. But that doesn't mean things won't change. And that's I hope when we share stuff that people don't freak out if it does change, because I'd rather have some information and have at least a good general idea of what's going on rather than nothing. Because as we've seen, losing the whip was not a good thing.
Absolutely, but that's a good thing about this world targets thing. And going to that link again, it takes you back actually to almost like having. I'm not saying a whip; it's actually a look forward, isn't that sort of stuff, Yeah. And what I wouldn't be surprised if in December or January they'll actually have a quarterly statement. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Whilst it's not a whip, it'll be a review, I think, and maybe a look forward. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I'd like to see that anyway. At least that shows some consistency in that aspect of where the game's going in the broader term.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'd like to note too is Kicks recently. I'm not saying forever, but recently, generally, when they're doing a change, they seem to be sticking to the giving us some notice. The changing the armadas for the uranium. We have a month's notice now that it's going to change. And then when it changes right after the raid, we're going to have a month of overlap. So we essentially have 2 months to have an idea of what's going on.
Right, exactly. The work in progress is basically changed to messages that definitely tell you what they've already got the code written for and what they're going to do. And it has, if you notice, it's saved on the Kick forums. It saved a lot of the bitching from the work in progress not happening exactly on the date or coming out with problems.
I suppose the only thing it has done, and I'll go back to talking about raid cycles in a minute, is it's brought a bit of blue sky thinking. Some people like to call it tin hat thinking, but blue sky thinking. So some people are saying, right, and here's an example, okay? Some people are saying, right, shock plates. I've known for about 2.5 months that shock plates, okay, don't just prevent shock. It's all about radiation, all right? And that's simply because the plate that came out, level 1, level 2, why did it say level 3 and level 4 for so long and then not being introduced in the game for ages and ages? That's because they couldn't decode the fact that it was doing radiation protection as well. And they tried to get it out of the coding and they couldn't. So all they've done is they've changed the wording of the target and now release level 3 and level 4. And we all know, and George did, Brian did the math as well. If you're going to put any plate on your ship, you want to put plate 4. And it's almost better to put a plate 4 and then leave another slot empty rather than put 2 plate 1s on it, or a plate 1 and a plate 2, because actually the effect is much better.
I think Hefe did that math, not me.
Hefe did a chart, and I think hopefully he's going to have it posted this weekend somewhere, so everyone has access to it. But I mean, it shows.
Was it Hefe's chart? I mean, Brian mentioned it to me and that sort of stuff, and I picked up on it. But
yeah, Hefe made a really good chart showing what the pass through is, and what gets blocked from which one and how much armor you get. I mean, it's pretty good.
Well, have a look at that, guys, because I mean, we'll post up on ours as well. But that's obviously on the Cribs guys show from last night as well. Was it last night it was on?
Battle Pirates Crib.
He fixed it before you posted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got them the wrong way around, hasn't he? Yeah, but he did say that. So let's hope.
He had him flipped.
Yeah, but if you watch that piece of the show, he'll say that the stats is upside down. So, but it's an interesting table, I have to say, and it's something that Raykin did mention to me about a couple of months ago, which is fair,
Ren had tested it and done a video and mentioned it in July, I believe, that it was not blocking, shockwave. It was blocking radiation damage, and that's what it is. All they did was change the wording to actually, be accurate as to what's happening in the game, because they could not debug that one. That one was just it was what it was, and rather than mess with more stuff, they just changed what it said.
Well, that was a concern. The impact was it would mess other things up in the game. So let's just be honest and let's just say, do you know what? It does radiation as well as shock protection. So it's and actually, if you'd been fitting them to your ship, you might have noticed it anyway.
Yeah, I think that's what Ren had done in his video, was show it, actually show that it was deflecting radiation.
I noticed it on people's retributions in their base guard. When you tried to take them out with another retribution sim in there, they had shockwave plates. You didn't. You lost.
You were goner. Yeah, absolutely. And I put them on my straight away on my base guard. And it made a big difference, huge difference, in fact. And the plate 4s, as soon as they come out, that's the first thing I changed. I coined them straight away.
I've always liked putting the shock plates on my base guard.
Especially if these holes with the deflection.
Dotted around in my base. Maybe 1 on the gamma, maybe 2 on the gamma, something like that. I've always done that. Since the first ones came out, I've always used them. And now that it's been confirmed that they block radiation damage as well. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it does make a big difference.
Good addition, makes them much better.
So I suppose the next thing is another one is the confusion between what's likely to happen in the future. It's been released a couple of times by some people that work at Kixeye and mentioned on a couple of shows in the after chats, but not actually during when those members of the Kixeye team have actually been online and been visibly stating it on camera. But basically, the inability for PvP hulls to actually be utilized in PvE targets. So Conqueror hulls particularly. And there are a couple of Conqueror holes that are excellent as stand-up holes to do your FM. And there's an intent at some stage in the future where that won't be the case. And you won't be able to utilize a Conqueror hole because it has certain inbuilt statistics that are required for it to be
Conqueror hole.
Viable as a Conqueror hole in a PvP situation. But it's unfortunately then can be taken advantage of in a PvE situation.
And that's what they're trying to mitigate at this point, because they're, as anybody that goes onto our page and has seen some of the videos that have been done, you can take advantage of the math concerning the repair times on the armor of the Conqueror hulls and get, what would we get down to 15 and 19 minute repairs.
Yeah, it's a little game we play now, isn't it? Who can knock 10 seconds off each other's sort of video.
So and granted, part of it's gimmicky because you have to use the bullseye, brigade crew to get it down that low. But even without it, we were cracking. I think we cracked 30 minutes one time, under 30 minutes, with a Sea Serpent's crew.
So
and that's just not intended.
So and that's the point. So that goes back. So this is point number 2. Okay, so this is working as intended, and subject to change again. So the plates came out; they were subject to change. There hasn't been obviously a monthly sort of announcement, and it's not came out. This PVE and PVE content issue. Okay, it's not come out because there hasn't been the monthly update. So we're in a state at the moment where we've unofficially been told, but we've not been told. Now, clearly, this is such a big change in the game that it's not. It's going to have to be delivered in a way then that's going to have to publicly inform the public that play this game that that's going to happen, because there's going to be plenty of people that will not be able to do the FM otherwise.
And I see Kit coming back out again with the, for example, the Citadel special that they gave a couple months ago. That was the biggest hint to me, and I told my alliance, stop using the Vendettas, get the Citadels, get them built. You're going to need them. It's going to go here. One of these days, it's going to go here.
I was going to say, that looked like a massive hint to me. I mean, when you start seeing Citadel build tokens popping up in the daily deals, and then, as Wattel just said there, buy 2 Citadels now, own the blueprint, all the blueprints with it. That's kind of a big hint that something's coming.
That was in the show 2 months ago. I remember saying about it. I can't remember if it was on Tuesday night or whether it was a Saturday night show, but I basically said, look, you haven't even got to go and spend too much money if you've never coined before and you want to get ahead or get yourself prepared. Just go and get the single one, because once you've got it, you've got the blueprint, and then you've got the right weapon, i.e. the mortar. You've got the right. It's a judgment, wasn't it, for that one? You've got the right weapon. You've got the right hull, and you just need to find and we've just been gifted freaking Tideseekers now, which can do the FM and that sort of stuff if you built the tank right. So you've just been almost gifted a fleet.
And for newer players, the specials that came on that Citadel deal, which I feel like it'll come out again, those were some massive specials that can be used throughout the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily on that build, but a couple of mine took off myself and that sort of stuff, or told some people to take off. But but they were nice specials to have. There was no rubbish in that.
Yep. Well, someone just brought up in chat. So why didn't they just block the PvP holes from PvE in the first place? And I think that they didn't actually realize how well the PvP holes would do in the here's mission. I mean, you got to think, like, there's a lot of players out there that kind of think outside the box, and then they think, oh, I wonder how this is going to do it there. Yeah, like George. Yeah, George, you've ruined it for us all. Let's play George.
Look, I mean,
let's play George.
There's test servers and stuff for a reason. There's only a handful of guys that come up with the coding and have to go through all this stuff, and they've flat out said it before. The community, we have a smart community. It's not a dumb community. We have a very smart community. The community will always outsmart Kixeye. The problem is we're doing it quicker now because there's so many. When you bound us into certain things, there's not as many options to do or test. So you bound us to this box, and there's not as much stuff to kind of go outside the box with. So we'll find it quicker now rather than longer as before. But they've flat out said, hey, we do watch certain players. There are some that tend to break stuff, and that's what they want because they can think of stuff that they didn't, and there's more of us. So one of us is going to figure something out that they did not, and they kind of adjust to that. The thing that I like is that they're actually very transparent about this. They are saying, hey, you know what, this is messed up or this and that, and like I said before, they're trending towards giving us some time to adjust. So I don't think if they do this, if they implement this, I do not think they're going to go, hey, starting tomorrow, y'all are boned.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
I think there's going to be at least a month transition. That seems to be their thing, 1 to 2 month transition. They've kind of given the information out for us to share in speculation. So, like Marcus said, we've been saying it for a couple of months now. It's not in stone. It's one of those things that I was saying before. It might change, it might not change. They're not 100% sure on it, but I'm going to tell you, you can see it in my videos. I went from Vendettas to Citadels for a reason, because I don't want to get caught not having the FM thing, because the FM is the absolute top priority in this game.
Well, I think the Citadels actually outperform Vendettas anyway, though. There's not too much of a problem. The only lacking problem with the Citadels is that they're not quicker.
One thing that I have noticed in the game that really interests me, and I've enjoyed it, is in the old days, you built a fleet, you put one weapon on that fleet had a specific purpose for you. Now they've transitioned the game into, we've always done it. We built a fleet to hit bases. We built a fleet to get salvage. And, as the game progressed, we built fleets to do certain things. However, what they've done now is they've made it to where the smart thinking players are mixing weapons on ships that they never did before, and they're mixing fleets that they never did before, and using different ships in fleets, and it's more of a strategy as to how to defeat this base or how to defeat this target. And I give them kudos for doing that, because even Kicks theirself, the players that were out of the game for 3 or 4 months, has got a launcher on it, the D98U, for a spotter weapon to promote targeting, which before we never would have thought to do things like that.
No, agreed. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to say about this piece then, and we'll move on, is there's also something else coming. I'm not going to say what it is because it's not been officially I've been allowed to release it. But if this does come in, something else is going to happen in the game that's going to please a lot of people. And I know it's a bit of like teaser then, that sort of stuff. Okay, yeah. but it, and I have mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but no one's come back to me from Kickstarter yet to say I can say anything. Okay, so I'm not going to say it, but it'll please an awful lot of people. So the fact that you've got to do you can read it between the lines and understand it. You're going to have to use 2 different types of fleets, do 2 different jobs consecutive at the same time. So read into that about fixing ships.
Yeah, I'll go on a little bit of a longer limb, I guess maybe, and just say they're going to try and offset it for the player base with something good too. That's that's a plan. It's not it's not cast in concrete, but honestly they're really not trying to screw us, guys. They're not. They might be slow on the uptake sometimes, but
you're right.
Compared to a year ago, they are so listening more to us now than last year. Easily. So
anyway, okay. Well, we'll move on from there. And I'm sorry it's sounding cryptic, but I'm not going to say anything that I'm not to divulge. So, but I just
break confidences. Yes.
Well, I don't like putting out false information that they have to go and retract afterwards either. But the hint is that it'll be good news. So we'll see what comes anyway. I don't think it's going to happen straight away, and I think the marker, as what the hell said there, is if that Citadel option comes back again, it's even cheaper next time. Jump in it.
That'll be a giveaway, yeah.
That'll be the hint. And actually, if it does come in, then they need to say. I think then they need to say there and then. If they come back again, then they should release the information straight away. Right. Okay. So let's talk about cycles and that sort of stuff. That's what we're talking about now. So if I'm right, it's 4. Brian, I know you were talking about this in the week. 4 cycles now we've got before the next raid that starts on the 15th. Is that right? We're in cycle 1 already.
Yeah, 4 weeks.
Huge amount of tokens available to everybody.
Yes.
So it gives us catch up on past builds that we maybe haven't finished, that sort of stuff. It gives us a chance to, to look at your builds that you really weren't, I built it, I've done it, I've ranked it. It's not quite performing, or a new special's come out and I'd like to put that special on instead. Well, actually, you can use that 2-day build token and switch a couple of those torpedoes over, or you can, add that one special in because now you think, do you know what? It's actually decided that hull can actually self-trigger, and I didn't think it did before, but now it actually says it can, sort of stuff. So I think we've got a couple of areas of slack.
Or if you don't coin and you want to build your, like Harlock's Revenge or anything, because I know like there are some people like, Metal that can actually build theirs right away. Some of us have to do it the slow way. So
hey, I'm not coining the Harlock Tideseeker though. I want the tokens for that.
Yeah,
well, we can. That's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
George, maybe instead of building the Harlock Tideseeker, wouldn't be better if the next raid cycle is going to be a siege, to build some siege tanks or something like that, so they could get a bit ready. If we don't know yet, and we don't know if you are going to have any clue so far about the next raid cycle.
I mean, yeah, it's sieges coming up. I mean, I was just kind of poking fun at Metal because he cranked out that the Harlock's Revenge real quick, and I still got a blank thing going. But yeah, siege is coming up. I mean, I would rather see people, especially that are only getting to tier 4 and have not caught up on tier 5, concentrate in the next few weeks on getting that FM done, getting to tier 5. I mean, you're going to have 14, 16 days of tokens just from tier 4, and the Tideseeker. I mean, we got some builds for Tideseekers as tanks. barring the gimmick with the bullseye brigade, I mean, I've gotten one down. I think I have one down to 39 minutes, I think, with a Sea Serpent crew. With
Dude,
a
that
Seeker,
Tide Seeker is
that's
absolutely
half
insane.
ranked. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic tank.
Like, I mean, I've been using Punisher. I've never had a problem with the FM. Like, since the FM started, I've never had the problem.
So I think if we're going to Siege, which is what George obviously said there, I'll just reiterate, because I know a lot of people get a little bit confused onto what is what. So Siege, okay? Siege is a standard PV turret-only class, okay? Turrets categorized as Siege turrets contain turrets with structure only. There's no ships. Similarly, hulls that are classified as Siege hulls will be designated to perform best against these type of targets. So Siege hulls against Siege targets. These are basically buildings. Dubs, that sort of stuff. Okay, so just think dub. It might not be a dub, okay, but it's a building target.
Right.
I
but
wouldn't.
The type of damage and stuff is going to be similar. It's going to be radiation and ballistic if they hold true to what they have released.
If they don't, then it goes back to the previous one where we had the ice campaigns. Do you remember those where it was basically buildings?
Yes.
But in there was some ships. However, that shouldn't be, because that should be a garrison type. That's a garrison.
Yeah, the mortars. There's mortars and dubs that aren't really like draconian mining bases. They're the most current example we have of a siege target.
But there's no ships.
Yeah, there are only buildings. Get your turret defense. Load up on your building damage. Deal ballistic or radioactive. Defend against ballistic and radioactive.
And
splash damage reduction. You should be set.
Here's the other thing, and I don't know, but usually by now we have some sort of indication if we're getting the new hull for the next raid set, because they did let us know about the Hellwraith earlier. I have not seen or heard anything about that, so my presumption right now is that we might not get the new hull in December for the January set. So
you know what I think might come back?
Good.
We might. I think we might get the Harlock Punisher back again, because it's only popped up once. It was ridiculously priced, and I think it needs to come back. I mean, I built mine, and I still can't work out what to use it for, to be honest, because I don't need it.
It's a fantastic hull.
But the stats are fantastic on it.
Yeah,
I just don't need it.
It's even better when you put it with other Punishers. That's the catch.
Yeah, I've got it built ready to rock and roll to go with the four Punishers that mine are absolutely nails at doing the FM. And then, you know, one of my lads has got his 4 Punishers with Earthshakers built up. He's got no armor, and he smashes 109.
I would not suggest use the Vassal on the Forsaken mission, because the missile damage is going to kill you.
No, exactly. But it's ready to go with those. You wouldn't dare use it because it's the wrong sort of thing. But if the siege targets come up and they don't have that death missile stuff, and they have something different, you know, radioactive or whatever it is, it's going to be great.
Yeah,
it's ballistic, that sort of stuff. It'll be fine.
I really would like to know. Honestly, I would like to have some information about this, because I did refit some of my Punishers just for the FM, because I like getting my FM done in like 10 minutes, and I just swap out a couple of tanks and be done. And I had done it before the Tideseeker, so I will need time to redo some Punishers for a siege. So I would like to know, hey, you know what? We're probably not going to let you guys have that hull until January, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. I just kind of would like a heads up, you know.
Well, the last 2 cycles we've had it before the raids commence, so it'd be nice if we could continue that flow. That'd be good.
Yes, it would be nice.
But in that case, George, maybe if we leave 2 spots on the special, so you can put the armor special, and if you need the bait, you could work the rest, right?
Which they tend to do. Leave a special and then put it into the following FM.
Yep.
Yeah, the speed special, the turret defense special, or maybe if you have the front line then countermeasures, so you have the turret defense and the boost for your countermeasures.
Yeah. Okay, look, we'll just move on to one last thing, because time is getting on. I don't want to eat up everyone's time too much. So the other sort of future thinking thing that may have been talked about is corrosive damage. I don't know how I want to open this one up. George, do you want to?
Well, Hefe and I have been talking, and I did some testing and stuff, and it seems that because, you know, the res batter and res capacitor have been kind of coming into vogue now, particularly with base defense stuff and all that stuff, and the math behind it's a pain in the ass, but it seems that corrosive damage, both to the damage bonus and to the defense bonus, does not apply to either of those. I'm not 100% sure on it. We just kind of got some of the final numbers this afternoon, and I sent in a question. I don't know what the answer is going to be. I'm not sure if they're going to correct that or not or what. But right now, as it seems, it looks like the corrosive is not in either blueprint to do anything. So in case anyone is trying to put it on, say, a Valiant, just know that it's only going to work on just the concussive, not the corrosive. So I'm not sure where that's going to go eventually, but it is something that we picked up in discussion and testing and all that stuff. So, and I think Hefe checked with the Dark Alliance guys, and it's not in their data pool either. So it doesn't even show up. So I'm not sure what all's going on. So hopefully we'll find out about that next week.
I don't know. Stu, have you noticed anything, mate? Have you picked up anything at all?
Sorry, mate, I'm fucking dozed off. What were we talking about?
Corrosive. You're hitting a lot of bases, mate. Corrosive. Have you noticed any issues about corrosive and it not doing as you think it should be doing on some of the base defense holes, particularly those if you start putting on the resonance?
Yeah, actually. In the preview, anyway, I thought that the weapon was very underpowered. And I think that's our first hint, because me and you were in that together, weren't we? And do you know what? We said that at the time. It seems underpowered in the defense mode. But when we're out in the water in the attack mode, when I was doing it with Ren, it seemed very powerful. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the story is there, but it didn't really seem to be, too significant of an add to my base defensively. No, but this could answer some of those questions. I expected it to do a bit more, for a brand new defender. I'm not that impressed with it right now. I wonder if this is the answer. Or it might. They might have to do something about it. I don't know. And as George says, he said nothing formal yet, and no one really has. But there's certainly a lot of hints about it. That it's not quite working as it should do. So I'm not saying working as intended, because I don't think it is.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if that was intentional or not, or if they were presuming that because it was a self-activating hull, that they were expecting those specialists to work. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know yet. And
we're going to know this week. People have been ranking them now. They'll be building them. They'll be in people's bases now this week, and they'll be up and running. And we'll soon know, because the players, as you've said before, they're not idiots. They'll work it out in no time at all.
Yep,
they really will.
Yep, we have a very smart player base.
Okay, so there you go. That's shock plates. That's corrosive. That's obviously PvP versus PvE and that sort of stuff. Build times, fixed times. So we'll move on to the last thing. You'll all notice that actually every time you log in, and it's annoying because it comes up about 15 times, there's a survey, and it's actually on the splash screen for a change. It's up the top. It'd be nice if they could put some more interesting things up on the splash screen. If they can put up about a survey, why can't they put up about things not working and we're trying to fix this and that sort of stuff, more regular than they do. But anyway, there's a survey.
There's too many bugs to put up there. There's too many mistakes.
Maybe there is. So I just thought we'd talk about the survey. And I know Brian's about to commit to his survey, probably for about the 10th time. But I just thought if you had a chance right this second to say a couple of lines about what you think about the game, and be honest, I mean, where it's going in the last few weeks, sorry. Are we survey up or are we survey down? Where are we?
Excuse me, I haven't had one yet.
Really?
Yeah,
No.
you have. Yeah, you have.
No, I haven't.
Open up the game. It's right at the top.
Up the top,
No,
look at the game, and then you've got to click on it. It should be at the top, mate.
Damn, I've got to click on it. Does that mean I've got to waste energy clicking my finger? No way! I've not seen it.
It begins.
Okay, Paul's abstaining. Okay.
It's not even neutral option. What the crap is this?
So look, Imri, you haven't said a lot much tonight, mate. Imri, what are your thoughts about?
He's killing my Mega at the moment.
Oh, is he killing your Mega? Is he busy at the moment?
No, that's it. He's mentioned Mega right now.
All right.
The same word to kill your Mega.
Who muted Stu? Stu, did you mute yourself? I mentioned Mega.
Shut up.
He muted himself. He muted himself because the word Mega came up.
Okay.
Oh, good.
We'll scoot along the line then. So, Metalbeard, mate, what about you? What's your thoughts, buddy?
Pardon?
The forum then. If you're going to answer the obviously the survey that's up there at the moment, or you probably have answered the survey, to be honest.
No, I haven't done it yet.
What are you thinking? Are you thinking if you were a 5 12 months ago, are you a 6 or are you a 4?
I see improvement. I see a lot of improvement. I mean, if they're going to chuck away tokens like they did for the Tide Seekers as an alternative because they did realize people didn't want to drive subs. I mean, that's nice. I mean, they've been a bit generous, really.
Proactive or reactive, though?
Reactive, not proactive.
Yeah,
They haven't done anything proactive in a while.
Yeah, but they haven't done anything proactive in a while, because last time they did something like that was giving coins in one Christmas, and people was abusing creating new accounts just to get that. So they have to be very careful about what they do.
Yeah, and that's the issue. People have made about 6 different accounts to get lots of different coins, and they start gifting to other people and that sort of stuff, because people ain't stupid.
Well, I might actually say they have done one thing that's proactive, given what we discussed earlier, is that they're doing those Citadel specials. I don't know how much credit you want to give to them, because it does cost, but
I think it does cost. But what doesn't cost me is the fact that a player that hasn't played for 6 months logs in again because someone says, "Oh, it's starting to get interested again," and he finds out he's got a set of X.
Yeah,
he's got a set of whatever it is. He's got a set of something that brings him.
Hey, if you want to talk about that, I've got a killer one for you.
Go on.
So I've got 2 mates that I started playing the game with, and they both quit. Well, I'm talking years back. They both recycled their bases, the whole works. And they both logged on as well recently. One of them had a set of rhinos and a set of tiger sharks. The other one had a set of rhinos, a set of tiger sharks, and a tide seeker.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So, they're definitely trying to bring people back to the game. Like, there's no doubt about it. And with these offers as well, like the Citadel deals and everything like that.
And there are more than that. That has come to them, because I got a friend that recently came, and besides those you said, he also got a hardlock, the countermeasure one. It's hardlock Aegis. That was.
Yeah, he had that as well. Yeah, the hardlock Aegis, and Neptune, and then 3 rhinos.
Metal, what did you say?
6.
Four. I saw Metal say something, and then didn't. I couldn't hear it.
Go on, Metal.
I was going to say, ask yourself, but why would you come back after you left?
Because you're addicted.
Well, my mate,
long enough, you don't.
The direction that the game was going in at the time. At the time, the game was going down the Reaver path, and everything was fiery and long repair and long build times, and they just didn't enjoy it. But I've been talking about the game to them. I've been saying, hey, look, build times have gone down, repair times have gone down. You should check it out again. Sometimes people do come back. I know one guy that. He's come back and he's caught up already. I think it took him about 4 months to get up to, a decent standard again. I don't know. You have to ask him, but he's currently someone just found him in space. So.
And here's the catch. Metal has a good point. The thing is if I'm coming back, and this goes back to our discussion, weeks ago about player retention and player engagement. At some point, as a company, you've got to just bite the bullet and get people to the point where they're relevant in the game, or they feel relevant in the game in some aspect. They might not be able to do the PvP stuff, but they might be able to pull off the PvE stuff. But you can't expect them to come back or start the game and go, hey, it's going to take you, 6 to 12 months to be relevant. Well, screw it. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to come back.
That was my big deal on the survey, was to tell Kick that the new players and the alliance members of mine, I've had several that have come back after a year or so absence, is to make them feel like they're wanted in the game, and that they click on, and you got to sit there for 30 minutes to gather res do, and you can't do it anymore. And then there's all this other shit that you don't know how to do. You've got to teach the players. You've got to educate the players. That was my biggest gripe on the survey.
Okay. With somebody fresh in tonight, got TSK there, Silent Killer. What about you, buddy? You tell me what would you say in that survey to say, yeah, my mate's going to start the game, or he's going to come back in the game? What would you say that?
Well, I've got actually a lot of old-time players in my alliance that we've tried to get to come back to the game with these deals, and they're afraid of getting back into the money trap of the game. They're like, you know what, we're out, we're content. We don't want to get back in and waste our retirement fund again like we used to. Unfortunately, they were really good players that some old players would probably know, but they're afraid of getting back into it. But for other players who haven't quite gotten rid of their addiction, I think it's a great thing. They should be able to jump on it, and the game is much cheaper now, so that could be a good thing.
Yes,
but,
it's still cheaper to have a crack cocaine habit, but that's just my.
Compared to what it used to be.
Compared to where we were, I think 18 months ago, definitely, and the mistake that they did this time. No, we were well into it. We're well advanced into it by this time last year, and it was spiraling out of control. In fact, absolutely spiraling out of control. And thank God that somebody gripped it. Whether that be through dwindling participant numbers, whether that be by a change of Rakin's team coming back in and that sort of stuff, and we've had a few more come back from other parts of Kick-Size Enterprise sort of stuff, that have come back from other ventures and come back into Battle Pirates,
If I'm completely honest, I think that the work that they've done is great, and we really don't give them enough credit for it, to be honest. I mean, we do look at the negatives a lot as a community because it's just what we do. But we really don't look at the positives that they've done in the game, and they have done so much better, this time around as compared to, I mean, going back to the Reavers, like I said, look how horrible of a time that was during the game. The Berserkers and the whole overload forcing you to take damage to do damage, stuff like
I think
that.
apart from the Harlock Rev not having its minimum damage stats in it, I think that power creep has been nipped in the bud. That's the thing I like the most.
Yeah.
And that's why I put in my survey.
It's put skill back in the game.
Yeah, and as Tia was saying earlier on as well, the fact is now it's like a deck of cards. A full flush wins, and actually 5 deuces doesn't. You've got a splattering of ships now, where you've got a Spite and you've got a Fury and you've got a Ret and you've got a couple of more chuckers. But you've got to look at the person's base and go, do you know what? I don't think that's going to work. But if I see what he's got up front there. What if he's got plates on that? Well, I could test that.
I never saw a problem with Harlock Revenge Fleet, and I had it like the day after it came out.
The problem with the Harlock Revenge Fleet is that everyone had the same problem. They weren't stopping it.
It never broke my base.
What did you have, though? Did you have like the 3 Vanquishers set up? Because I know a lot of people figured out the 3 Vanquishers or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I did rapidly. Yeah.
I beat your deflection.
Yeah.
Even with the Blative on my Harlock Citadel beat your deflection.
And that's the point, isn't it?
One of my mates has a Citadel loaded with explosive upgrades, and that seemed to work a lot.
Yeah. Explosive upgrade is a hell of a thing. And this new hull, and the reload and the damage is nice. And also, if you put explosive upgrade on your Harlock Citadel, take it off and put on res capacitor, because it's going to get activated if it's close enough to the Valiant.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
I'm in 2 minds on whether to do it.
It's definitely going to be worth it.
You got the tokens.
You get a bonus of 35% extra damage. Is that correct?
Pardon?
I said 35% extra damage.
It goes from 20%
field, right?
to 30. Well, you get 10% or to up to 36 off the res battery.
So there you go.
TSK, go on, mate. Let's go back. Hang on, George, mate. Yeah, it's got a couple of points obviously on the survey. What were you going to say, mate?
All right. One of the ideas that I had is part of the raid cycle. How we just had the Hellwraith come out in the whole event, and we paid a premium for it. I was okay with that because we're getting ready for the first event of the cycle. And then it returned on the first event cycle part, and it was 15 million.
Yeah.
Which it's okay. It's still a little high for me personally, but I'd like to take that a step further. Why don't we, since these holes are mainly introduced for raids, have a depreciation value for them and reduce their cost until the end of the raid? So let's say we start for the first raid at 15 mil. The second raid will be 13 mil. The third raid is 11 mil.
Too. Yeah,
and the
I like
fourth
that
and
idea.
final raid is 9 mil, where the whole prices used to be earlier in the game.
That's a bit like we're saying also about the FM prizes that, for the first couple of weeks, great, it's tier 5, but not everybody can get it in tier 5. But those that have got it in tier 5 have already built it. They've had their couple of weeks of advantage, or maybe 3 weeks advantage, or that month. And then the following week it drops into tier 4. and then the following month, and then the following month after that, it drops to tier 2, or down to tier 3. Sorry, so that eventually it may take a couple of months to get to it, but everybody gets an opportunity to get certain items. You can't get everything. I mean, there's going to be some things where if you aren't at that top level, you're not going to have the ships and stuff like that to do with it. But there are certain items there that definitely could go down. And they did with a couple of things, like the Blade Missile is a classic example. That went down to tier 2, I think, in the end, and that sort of stuff, and a couple of things have been dropped in there. But I think, I'm not saying you have to do everything, but definitely it would make it a lot easier. And I agree with you as well. It has been mentioned before that the raid cycle items that, yes, if we do see this requirement of this hull, that new one for the new raid cycle, it's in this raid that's coming up in December, which is a month early. I agree that it's probably a little bit more of a premium, maybe 20k. Okay. But then obviously in January it should be 15, and then 12, 9, and maybe 7 or something like that. I don't know. As it goes through.
That's the way to
remember. Here's the thing: is also remember that these things are not just for the raid. They're going to be, for use afterwards as well. So we can't drop it too much, but we probably should look at that. I mean, that's a good idea. I like the idea.
They said they want to extend the shelf life of these holes, which are going to be delegated to doing chores after the raid cycle. Why should we be paying $15 million for a hole that's going to be a chore fleet on the last raid cycle?
Well, I think the cycle, I think in the last one, the cycles, you could actually put it into tier 5 prize. Although we don't really have holes as tier 5 prizes, but there's no reason why you couldn't do that and just offer it in there instead. Or just put it in the unlocked store, and then a bit like the Punisher has, which I think is still a bit overpriced, but put it in the unlocked store, and then just say, do you know what? If you want it, it's there. Crack on, take it, sort of stuff,
I think this is a good way of playing for the way we're playing in the game. Definitely. What we've talked about for the last 5 minutes. Drop the prizes down. Don't give them away. Don't give them away for free, but let the players put the time in and get these fleets.
Right.
Sooner rather than later, or else people are going to drop off the game. Mid-level players, or mid-tech players, low-tech players, we got to bring them back into this game. We got to get them.
Here's the thing. I mean, if we do what Mark says and drop it, on the last raid site or the last raid of the cycle into a different tier, you actually open up a side for the next month's prize if they want to continue that. I mean, the catch is, that's great and it's awesome. I mean, I think last raid we had 11,000 people hit 30 million or more, which is fantastic. But we also have to increase the base, and I have no problem with them giving stuff to new or old players to come back in and become relevant. Like if they go, hey, you know what, you can step up easily from this to this to this if you start out with the Rhino. Okay, put the Rhino in the research lab, let them research it, and get the damn Rhino, and let them step up and be relevant inside of a month or two.
That's what I said about doing it by salves. You could actually just 71 salves. You go and hit, let's just say you get 1,000 that sort of stuff there, and you get a freaking Hellwraith.
How long's the Rhino been in the game? Because I still use more Rhinos with something in front.
That's the point, Paul. I want people that come in that have not played or have been gone for a while to feel relevant in the game easily. I don't want them to come in and have to wait 6 to 12 months to be able to, be relevant and go, hey, you know what? I saw this cool video. I want to be able to do that in my FM, but hell, I got to wait another friggin' 12 months on top. No, I don't want to play that game then.
Tell you something else.
It's not the same. It's not the same. The game's not the same as it was 5 years ago when we started playing.
The game's changed. What I'd like to see them do at the end of a raid cycle, the last month of a raid cycle, is throw out there a limited or a premium weapon that maybe has 2 to 5% more damage, that gives us a hint of what the next. You know how they used to do the raids where the first set of the raid cycle, you got the fleet that could do that raid and do it well. I'd like to see them come out with just the weapon or a special or something that gives us a hint the month before the raid, so that we know, what to shoot for.
The problem is with that, the community or the people that play it, we shafted that. Kixie have they've been more forthcoming with information of what we need, what the requirements are, and everybody goes, I haven't got that, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that.
Well,
But
that's the whole point. That's the whole point of us.
Yeah, no. But in previous raids, when we all first started, if you like, we had no information like that.
It was just guess.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was like
pure guess.
and
Exactly.
and what we had to do between yourselves was, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, yeah, I'm going to build that. And between you had to actually work out what we all wanted to do.
You know why?
Now,
It's a strategy game, mate.
Yeah,
It's a strategy game.
yeah. And now,
however, look, I'll tell you that the reason, I mean, and I went back actually and I looked at a page about a raid that happened literally 3.5 years ago. And you know, people have been complaining recently about the structure of people going on the 2-tier system, either left flanking or right flanking. That's been out for over 2.5 years. It just didn't look quite so linear. But the concept is exactly the same. It's been like that for an awful long time. It's been in, it's been out, it's been in, it's been out. So it's back in at this moment, and it may not stay. I don't know, but I know the reason it was brought back in. The reason it was brought back in was because people were building some crazy ass fleets. And while some people know how to build crazy ass fleets, some people were building some right tosh, and the stuff they were building just didn't go together at all. And then they were going, "Well, your stuff's shit. This game's rubbish. I can't play it, and that sort of stuff. I'm going to give up." And that's the absolute reason why they'd made it a linear system, so that that works with that, and that works with that, and that works with that. So at least then, even if you guff up and put the wrong armor on it, at least the weapon matches the whole, matches the special. It's been done on purpose. That was absolutely a set piece.
yeah, but they do. Over the years, I've run mixed fleets. Whether it's been for base hitting, collecting uranium, blah blah blah. And we're right. We are actually Kixie are trying to do a good job. We work them over, if you like. Is that cool? Am I right in what I'm saying here?
I don't think work him over. I think we meet them, and then we're supposed to do the strategy game. If we beat the strategy, that's the whole game, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's their job as players.
Yeah,
you know, we're supposed to outsmart them, but
it's a labyrinth, isn't it? It's a labyrinth of
exactly.
You know, and
but
you're supposed
they're
to
listening to us now where they never did before, and you know, they're learning from us, and then they're taking it that further step and letting us continue with it. That's pretty neat to me.
Yeah, but what you've got to appreciate is there are people on lower tech levels that have got to come through the game as well.
No,
but that's what we're talking about, getting them in tech, Paul. I mean,
we've got to bring them on.
Well, that's something they have to work on themselves. Anyway, right, gentlemen, I will say to you, it's 20 past the hour. That's an hour and 20 minutes, and I don't want to eat up into your lovely weekends too much. Okay, I'll say thanks for coming on, everybody. A couple of guys had to leave. I know that. I know we had Trent on earlier on. I know Metalbeards had to duck out quickly as well. I'll say TSK, Silent Killer there. Thanks for coming in, buddy, tonight. The rest of the regs, the admin guys. Imri, your mic was working. That was great. Okay, Paul, you still sound like you're drunk, but I know that's just the way you are because you're.
I don't drink anyway.
I know, mate. I know. It's just the way you sound. Okay.
I'm a Janner boy.
You're a Janner. I know. You're from Devon, mate. I know. It's just the way. So am I. It's just that I've moved away. But anyway, thanks all for coming on tonight. We'll look forward to the Tuesday show. Obviously, Liam will be hosting. I won't be here myself, okay? And I'm going north of the border where there is no phone signal because I'm going on a bit of a excursion to do some more kayaking in the sea. So I'll enjoy myself, even though it's winter. But I'm going to go look for some seals and that sort of stuff because I like that sort of thing. So
that's a lie. He's going there to take up a crack cocaine habit.
He's going to
So this month is going paddling.
Cheaper than Battle Pirates.
Anyway. But Liam's going to host on Tuesday.
No shit.
And apparently so. Okay, then. So look forward to that, and let's see what comes out. It'll be quite interesting. I'd like to know myself what's coming next weekend for something to do because I don't really have anything to do now next weekend.
You're
in Battle
bored.
Pirates.
Say it. Go
So,
say
yeah.
it. You're bored.
Everybody, thanks for coming out. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, we got up 77 viewers earlier in the show. Great, guys. Thanks y'all for watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take care, all. Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Later.